I'm giving somebody the blues today.
On Mother's Day, Bandai Namco tweeted out Happy Mother's Day in support of all the mothers. But on Father's Day, there was no post in sight, as pointed out by Ultima Shadow. And in celebration of the fathers, I put together this little tier list here, celebrating the best fathers to the worst god-awful fathers. Of course, Heihachi and Kazuya is sitting down at the bottom. Regardless, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Now let's talk about Tekken. For those of you who don't know, there's currently the Esports World Cup taking place. It consists of many games, Tekken 8 being one of them. There's a tournament circuit that's going on right now that's separate from the Tekken World Tour. Players are also participating in this. They did a few tournaments already, and you have a few players who qualified. Here's a list. Farzin, Steffi Black, Arslan, Nobi, Rangchu, CBM, Mogod, AK, Yagami, Ulsan, Chikrin, Lohai, Chanel, and Manja. All of these players who qualified will be competing in Saudi Arabia in the finals, where $1 million is on the line. That tournament is going to be incredible. They still have some more to do. Currently, there is 24 out of 34 spots filled, so there's more action to come. But so far, players has noted, Spaghetti Rip in particular, that there is 12 Korean players out of the 24 players who are currently there. And a lot of people, they also noticed that there was no American players, not one. Seeing this kind of performance from the Korean players is absolutely mind-blowing. When we think about who is dominating Tekken 8, I mean, we see Farzin doing incredible. Arslan Ash is playing faster than ever. He was this defensive turtle in Tekken 7, but he and his Pakistani allies, they adapted to this fast-paced aggression almost better than anyone. It's incredible. Now, even though there's no Americans on this list, I think they also has been doing an incredible job. At least from what I've seen, Joe Crush has been on fire. You had that King player who beat Arslan. Cuddlecore, Shadow, also looking incredibly strong. But the fact still remains, for the esports tournament, there is no representation. Now, in the most recent tournament that was held for the Esports World Cup, DreamHack Summer 2024, the top 32 characters that was represented in this tournament is Fang, which there's 5 of them, Claudio and Jack, there's 4 of them, and then Dragunov, there's 3 of them. Now, I don't know how you guys feel, whether or not characters are influenced who's able to win and who's losing. Like, as we discussed in my previous video where Arslan Ash was saying, instead of complaining about nerfs, just play strong characters. A lot of players were giving their opinions on it, and it seems like some of them have no problem with switching. Their character get nerfed, they're switching to whoever the next strongest is. But a lot of people like to play the characters that resonate with them, whether that be a play style, the way the character look, the name, whatever. Play their character and just make it work, as Cuddlecore says. And also, I think Tekken 8 is more balanced in terms of Tekken 7. The gap between top tiers in Tekken 7 and bottom tiers was vastly different from Tekken 8. So I don't think the characters that people are playing is factoring into who winning. You guys can disagree with me, but that's just my own personal opinion. So when you look at this, 12 Korean players dominating these 24 spots, it kind of shook the player base a little bit. Everyone's pointing fingers, laughing, trolling. Arslan Ash, he responded. I don't know if it was to all the criticism, yip that was going on, but still he responds. He says, first of all, this doesn't necessarily mean one region is stronger than another. And if it weren't for visa issues, we'd have more Pakistani players represented. Unfortunately, our passport limitations held us back from traveling to certain places like others could. Now, you would be a fool to say Arslan Ash is coping here. I think the Pakistani players has done incredible things all throughout Tekken 7, and the term Flukistan died back in like 2020 when it was first created. So in my opinion, I think there is some truth to what Arslan Ash is saying here, but also I feel like the same could be true for everyone. Like, we know how difficult it was for AK to travel. There were many people who were saying that Thailand is a strong region and they just don't have the funds to travel like that. And I would agree. Like, when Arslan Ash first showed up, everyone was saying like, he's the only strong player from Pakistan. And then there was a lot of people who were saying like that kind of skill isn't made in a vacuum. And if the same is true for Arslan, it would have to be true for AK. But the point is like, I think a lot of players struggle to travel, and the Korean players, they just find a way. The American players, EU players, and that's what's so cool about the tournaments. It's like Playing in a tournament isn't the only hurdle these players face. There's many other things that we don't even see or take into account, and the fact that they overcome all of that to win, and still there's 12 Koreans there, is incredible. But here's where the conversation turns a little bit. I know you guys are wondering, where's Michael Murray? Where's Michael Murray? Grolanda says, seeing how Tekken 8 competition is going, I think it's time to admit that Michael Murray was right. He has always been right. Now, we can't see what Michael Murray is responding to, but the picture that Grolanda is showing us is a post where Michael Murray says, like the outcome would be any different if you had the game at the same time as the Koreans. Now, what he's referring to in this instant is the early release that Tekken 7 had in arcades. Some regions of the world has a very strong arcade scene, and as a result, they had a huge head start in Tekken 7. And yes, the Koreans do fall in that. I think it's obvious. Like, if you go back and watch the Tekken 7 tournaments and you see the American players and some of the EU players played for the first time, they were playing Tekken 7 as if it was Tag 2.
That was going to be a bound anyway.
I
was trying to do a Tag 2 combo.
No, actually, that does tailspin, doesn't it? The mock kick and the quarter circle back 2-4 does.
I don't know. You tell me.
It does, I think.
Does that work off of that stun?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
And then you look at like the Korean players and Japanese players, they're using all of the new mechanics that Tekken 7 introduced pretty much perfectly.
갔는데 잘 막아서
이거 좀 애매했기 때문에 들게 못했고요. 이지를 들어가는 레드 살아 있어요. 레드 막았고 찍고
So yes, I think there was an advantage in the Koreans and the Japanese players having the game early for 2 years, but very quickly the American players and EU players and whoever else was lacking started to catch up. I believe in 2017, Little Majin had an incredible run in EVO. The next year, Anakin did the same thing. At the same time, when Arslan showed up and was pretty much undefeatable, the first person to defeat him was Jimmy J. Tran. When you view USA as the underdog, yes, they haven't won anything major in terms of an actual tournament, but they had really good performances in the past. Like, if you think about Combo Breaker, there was this 10v10 that took place in 2022, and it was EU and it was America, and America came out on top 10-2. So when you go back to this tweet from Michael Murray where he's saying that the outcome wouldn't be any different if everyone was given the game at the same time, I do think Tekken 8 is kind of showcasing that in a lot of ways, because everyone played the beta, everyone played the demo, a lot of people played the cracked version of the games, even though people didn't say it. And now we're seeing what a game all at once, everyone learning the same tech, watching the same YouTube videos, doing the same things, looking at the patch notes, right? Everyone is starting off at the same time, and so far as it stands for the Esports World Cup, Korea is dominating.
Let's make one thing clear, all right? If it wasn't for Pakistan, this tournament would have been way bigger of a snooze fest. It would have been another Korea versus everyone who can't beat Korea. So all this, the yippity yapping about Flukistan, we really owe these guys for an entire year of like roller coaster rides of excitement and, freshness injected into the rear of the Tekken competitive scene.